Be careful overusing blankets for support. It can be helpful, but if you use a lot of blankets, you're just keeping yourself in this forward head posture. So that's something I just want to speak to. I'm using kind of a lower form on the blanket, in fact, and I'm kind of the princess and the pea. I always feel all the rumples, so it's good to smooth it out, and that's a very Iyengar thing to do. So I would smooth it out, and then we're gonna start coming onto our backs in a bent knee, which is restorative rest. And this is an important posture for a lot of reasons. And can everybody hear me okay? Okay, okay, great. And we're gonna start with bent knees. You can rest your hands on your belly to start, or you can rest them on the side with palms face up. And we're gonna move pretty slow today. Close your eyes. And begin to notice the breath coming in through the nose and out through the nose. Allowing your mind to focus on the breath flowing in, warming up through the nostrils. And slowly exhaling out through the nose. And take a moment just to find a neutral neck. Notice if your chin is drawn up high or tucked. You can move it into those positions so you can find that, and then try to neutralize between the two for a moment. Invite a heaviness in the back of your skull. And notice your sacrum, the bone at the base of your spine between the two hip bones, having a sense of floatiness and support to the earth. If your palms are face up, let the back of your hands become heavy. And soles of the feet become heavy and connected on the earth. Maintain these points of connection, back of the hands, soles of the feet, sacrum, back of the head, with the breath. Notice any micro movement of the spinal column from sacrum to the base of the skull, occipital bone. You may notice a gentle rocking with the breath in the sacrum, like a little rowboat floating on a pond. Allow this fluid movement of the sacrum instead of controlling it to be still. Soften your eyeballs. Soften your cheekbones. And wiggle your fingers. We're going to use our hands just to outline our jawbone. So bring them up to the sides of your face, maybe up by your ear, and find your jawbone. Get a sense of where it is, even coming all the way up to your chin to where the two bones meet and come together in growth. And even take that back, noticing any tension you're carrying. So this is the maxilla bone. Then bring your fingertips on top of your lips, underneath the nose, and feel your mandible. We're going to slip our fingers in between those at the cheeks. And we're going to practice yes movement. As we inhale through the nose first, then lift the mandible, the top of the jaw, holding back the maxilla, the jawbone. And then tuck through just with the top of the mouth, the mandible, with your exhale. And we'll do that again, just so we can isolate the two bones from each other. Inhaling up, holding the jawbone back. It's going to want to follow. And tucking through in a yes movement with your exhale. And one more time. Inhale. Lifting up, resisting. Letting go of the jawbone. Very gently. And tuck through. Now we're going to do the second variation. As you inhale, lift up with the maxilla, about halfway up, let go of the jawbone and let it follow the upper jawbone. Now, lead with the upper jaw, top of the mouth, then allow the jawbone to follow second as you tuck. And continue this movement leading with the maxilla, the mandible, the upper jawbone. Letting the lower jawbone follow second. And tucking through. Continue this movement and relax the back of your tongue. Noticing any micro changes in your breath as you relax the base of the tongue. Have an awareness of your floaty sacrum with the yes movement. It's also moving in support of jaw movement. Next time you inhale up, lifting the chin, reach the sides of your nose to the edges of the room. This will naturally facilitate an opening of your breath. And complete your next exhalation, softening the neck into neutral. We'll move into no movement, turning the head to the right first. Bringing your right cheekbone in towards the earth. Allow the cheekbone and the muscles to kind of melt into the earth. Widen the base of the nose and breathe. I'm going to take a few more breaths here. It's okay if the mind wanders, just bring back the focus onto the breath. Allow your right shoulder blade to soften into the earth. With your next inhale, begin to gently rotate the head to the opposite direction. Tracing the back of your skull as you do this. Feel the movement, connection to the earth as you bring the opposite cheekbone into the earth, softening the muscles, melting the cheekbone, widening the base of the nose. Continue with your breath. Complete your next exhalation and then slowly rotate the head back to neutral. We're going to take a couple micro movements with the knees. Just take the knees out to the right about 2 inches, maybe 3. Feeling a gentle rotation through the low back in the thoracic lumbar fascia. Take a breath in. Breathe into your back body, all the way into the low back. Exhale on out. Slowly bring the knees up to a center. Then rotate the knees out 2 to 3 inches to the left. This is not big movement, micro movements. Now big inhale in. Breathe into the tissue in the low back. Exhale on out. And bring that back to a center. Wiggle through your fingers, shake it out a little bit. Let's bring the arms up overhead. Let's just start with the upper body here. Pendiculation is the same stretch that cats and dogs do when they get up and they reach their paws out in front of them. It's a fascial stretch. So we're going to do the same thing with our right arm. Reach up overhead and take a big yawn. And then left side, reach up with the left arm. And if a yawn comes out, that's great. That's a vagal tone reset. And then find that wiggling back and forth. Reach through the right arm, lift out of your low back from your arm. Breathe in or yawn, whatever speaks to your body. And switch it to left side. Even take a gentle side bend through the neck or maybe the upper chest. Breathe in and out. And take that to the left side. You can side bend through the neck, side bend with the upper body if you want. And even counter rotate with the knees a little bit. Find what feels good in your body. This is really wiggling and pendiculation together. And one more time, side to side. Maybe take the knees out to the left as you rotate to the right. Breathe in and out. And then take it to the opposite side. And bring the arms back down. And let's put the hands just below the ribs in the solar plexus so you can feel your ribs. We're going to start with lowering the knees out to the right. Take it as far as it feels comfortable in your low back. If you're having any strain, back out. And then we can counter rotate with the head in the opposite direction. Take a deep breath in. And exhale on out. We're taking this into a more dynamic posture. Inhale, bring the knees up. Bring the head back up to neutral. Feel your feet. Have some heaviness in the feet here for the moment. Back of the head and pause. Then switch sides. Slowly lowering the knees to the left. Counter rotate through the head. And take a deep breath in. And inhale, bring that back up. Great. Now we're going to find our eyeballs and we're going to roll onto our side body. But instead of doing that with the physical body, we're going to lead with the eyes. So take your eyeballs up through the ceiling and look for the upper quarter of the room. Let the eyeballs lead the body, like you're reaching with the eyes. And when your body's ready to, it'll kind of flop on the right side. And this takes some practice. Then we're going to reach with our eyeballs to the opposite direction, get really curious, like a little baby. What's on the other side of the room? And lead with your eyeballs. And notice if you have to help yourself, flop. We'll do the same thing, leading with the eyeballs. Get curious about the other side. And find that flop. And continue this for a few moments. This is very grounding for the nervous system. And the eyeballs are primary levers of movement. So if you're not activated with your eyes, you're only using a part of your nervous system. Take this back and forth at your own speed. Maybe you like it a little faster. Feel free to play with this. Notice your skin sensation as you roll back and forth. Feeling the experience of the body on the earth. Stay with your breath. You might be traveling a little bit as you do this. That's okay. And complete the current roll. Come back to restorative rest posture, bent knees onto your back. Bring the hands back onto the belly. Take a few breaths here. Notice if you have more breath. Is your skin feeling more vibrant? We're going to use a tennis ball next. If you don't have a tennis ball, that's okay. It still works, by the way. But behind your shoulder blades, between the inner line of the shoulder blades to the spine is where the rhomboid, well, trapezius and rhomboid muscles are. We're going to slip this tennis ball into any place on the right side that kind of feels a little tight. You're just going to bring that underneath. Your left shoulder will still be down and back into the mat. It's very important that your legs are bent right now because that's slackening the arteries in the legs. And we're just going to take a little windshield wiper movement. And I'm doing micro movements. But you can go bigger if that feels better in your body. You want more sensation, just drop the knee out more and bring it back up. And you can sync this movement with your breath. Inhale, dropping out. And exhale, bringing that in. And think of this as an experiment. Okay? I don't know what feels good in your body. Only you can answer that. And the next time you bring the knee back up, slowly extend through the right leg. Reach out through your heel, coming into dorsiflexion of the foot. Reach nice and long. You'll feel the stretch all the way through to your tennis ball, into the rhomboids, erector spinae muscle group. Take a deep breath in and exhale on out. You might feel a warm sensation of flushing in the tissues. That's a good thing. Rebend the leg, roll to the side a little bit, pull the tennis ball out. Take a moment here to just feel your back body, back of the hip. Notice any change. And we'll do the same thing on the left side. So you'll roll onto your right side, slip the tennis ball, find your little tight spot back there. Any tight spot will do, as long as you're not on the spinal column and not on your scapula, your shoulder blade. And again, with micro movements, you can start with the micro, see how that feels. Sometimes a micro is harder or more challenging. As you rotate the leg outwards towards a half frog, nice big inhale. Exhaling to center. Notice if this is challenging. It can take a lot of focus to move slow in the body. And play around a little bit. What movement feels the best for you? What speaks to your brain? Is this side have more ease compared to the other side? Or is there more restriction? And as you bring the knee back up, we'll extend through the leg. You can sink that with a nice big exhalation. Reach long through the heel, come into dorsiflexion, which I also call yoking of the foot. Feel the connection into the tennis ball. Deep breath in. Exhale on out, long and smooth. And then we'll slowly bend through the leg again. We're going to roll onto the side to remove the tennis ball. Just set it to the side. Take a moment to pause here. Notice if your left shoulder blade, left back feels more down into the earth. Maybe the left hip is also settled. We're going to go into more micro movements of moving through the spine here. Bring your hands down to your hips now, just to the outer edges, right? So this pocket inside, here's your hip bones. The pocket here is part of your iliopsoas connection, your deep core. Just widen your hands broad, like I call this down dog hands, and just feel your tissue. And remember your yes movement. You'll be using this. Connect the feet to the earth. Maybe wiggle your toes if you need to a little bit. And inhale, reach through your coccyx, the tail of the sacrum, and create a gentle arching of the low back. Begin to lift up with your chin as you do that. Exhale, draw the tops of the hips, the back of the hips down and back. You're rocking through your sacrum and the hips, reaching the tail to the ceiling as you lengthen the back of your neck and tuck through your chin. And let's do that again. Inhale, reach through the tail, arcing through the low back. Lift up your chin, send your eyeballs up. Exhale, look down with the eyeballs, tuck through the chin, bringing the tops of the hips down and back. And inhale again, reach through the tail, arc through the low back, look up with the eyeballs, lift through your heart. Exhale, tuck through, flattening through the low back. It's not like a super big flattening, but it's, softening it down and back. And continue that movement back and forth for a little bit. And you can play with speed here. It could be a super slow motion or it can be quicker. We're warming up all the segments of the spine between each of them, all the way up, all 24. Great. Now we're going to drop open, bringing the soles of the feet together. This is a Supta Baddha Konasana, so reclining bound angle pose, still listening with our hands to the inner core. Taking a moment to breathe here. Breathe into your low back. Complete your exhalation. And then we're going to slowly drag the heels on the outsides of the ankles away from our pelvis. Then reach through your heels, dorsiflex through the ankles, and internally rotate the legs a little bit and relax that down. Now let's wiggle that out a little. Get any kinks that you're feeling coming up. And then we're going to bend back up through the knees. Dvipadipitam, two-legged pose, is not a bridge pose. And this is a foundation in the way I work with the body. It helps reset the pelvis as well. So we're going to reach our fingertips long towards the heels. And we'll use that same cat-cow movement to help us stabilize the low back and start to come up. We're going to work at making a straight line between the knees and the shoulders, but not arching through the upper back. Okay. So first of all, reach through your tail, inhale, then exhale, draw the tops of the hips down and back. From here, keeping that tops of the hips down and back, we're going to inhale nice and slow, one vertebra at a time. Slowly picking them up off the floor, making a straight line between the knees and the shoulders. Then exhale, lower down. One vertebra at a time. If you have strain in your low back, don't go past the strain. Don't try to blow past. Just inhale, rock yourself up an inch or two, and then lower back down and rock on out of it. So we're really trying to re-embody a natural fluid spine and staying within a safe range of motion. So continue exploring that. What works for your body? Starting with dropping the hip down and back, then inhale, picking up nice and slow. As you pick up, you can just imagine bringing your knees straight forward towards the wall in front of you, which will engage the superficial back line, the erector spinae muscles. And exhale, lower down. You can relax the sacrum, relax the hips when you come back down, then inhale again. Exhale, draw the hips down and back, then inhale, bring that up nice and slow. And exhale, lowering that back down. And continue that for a few moments with your own breath. And doing one more. Then we're going to do reclining cow face pose. We're going to cross the left leg over the right. Hug that back. Come into your breath. You can close your eyes here. And explore here. What feels good in your own body? Is it easier if it's further away? You can use a strap here as well to create less tension on the low back. Or do you want more stretch? I'm going to uncross the legs and switch to the opposite side. Hug that back. And notice if you're soft in your feet, or you can also play with dorsiflexion, yoking of the feet to create a more active stretch versus passive. Again, just using what feels good in your body. And exhale, release that, uncross the legs. Let's stretch that on out. Bring the arms up overhead. Come back to pediculation and wiggling. You can reach up with the upper arm, but this time adding the leg. Reach up through the heel nice and long on the right side, dorsiflexing through the foot. Reach long through your fingertips. Take a breath in. And exhale on out. And then switch sides. Reach out through the left heel. Reach up with the left fingertips. And relax that down. Now shake it out a little bit. Wiggle through the feet, wiggle through the fingers, shake your head, wiggle through the whole body. You're a cooked spaghetti noodle. You have movement and fluidity, aliveness. You can even take circles through the ankles here. Get a little bouncy, have some spring, right? You're just kind of being playful here. We're not really trying to achieve anything. We're just in the moment. Look around the room. Notice the ceiling. Look out to the corners of the room. Embody your space. Good. And even you can make some noise if you want. Blah, 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 blah. You know, shake it out. Great. All right. Let's roll on to our right side. So bend through the knees. Reclining child's pose is the safest way to come up with low back injuries. So you cradle your head with your right arm. Just take a few moments. We'll extend out through the left leg. Plant the left hand. Bring your head up last. If you have a blanket or a bolster that you prefer to sit on, I'm going to encourage you to do that. So I just folded my blanket in half to give a little bit more lift. And I'm going to grab a sip of water. This is a good time to do that. So it's a reorientation. We've just spent a good amount of time on the ground on our back body. So take a moment, wiggle that out a little bit. And notice we can have figure 8 movement on the side and the shoulders and the hips as we wiggle. And you can even switch the direction a little bit. And now we'll just come in to a slight stillness, bringing the palms face down, finding a tall spine, head on top. You can lower your gaze over your nose. Focusing the mind on the breath. Relax your jaw, relax the base of the tongue, and widen the base of your nose. Maintaining connection to the breath, you can open the eyes. And we're going to move into a twist, focusing the twist between the shoulder blades. So if you have a shoulder injury, you can just bring the right arm behind you and then bring the left arm out over the outside of the opposite, same side knee. Start with a neutral neck, gazing out over the sternum. If you want to go bigger with the stretch, you can reach the right arm up and over, But behind you, you don't have to be up on fingertips necessarily on the ground. You can do a soft fist. Just watch creating any strain in your wrist joints. And again, start with neutral neck. Isolate the stretch between the shoulder blades. Breathe in. Fill up the rib cage. And exhale on out. Continue that awareness of really breathing into ribs. Now take your eyeballs and start to look to the right. Get curious what's over there. Drink that in through the eyes. Keep the breath into the rib cage. And exhale, soften back to a center. And let's play to the opposite direction. So again, shoulder girdle injuries, just gently reach behind you. Otherwise, you can play with reaching up and over. Bringing right arm out over the outside edge of the knee. Start with a neutral neck. So our tendency is to want to go right into neck twisting, but then we're not isolating everything, what's happening in the chest. So this is what we're up to. We're actually slackening the ribs on the left side and creating a stretch through the ribs on the right. Neutral neck. Come into the breath. You can find a soft point of focus with the eyeballs, maybe a spot on the floor. As you inhale, you're lengthening through the spine. As you exhale, you can create more of a twist between the shoulder blades and the upper thoracic vertebra. Then begin to reach your eyeballs to the left. Get curious what's over there. And exhale, slowly turn back. We're going to do a couple micro tests. Just drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then take the left ear to the left shoulder. And then a couple rotations. And notice if one side feels, I don't know, I use the terms like sticky, stuck, gunky. It's kind of interesting. For me, it's more gunky on my left side and the back side here. So just note that. And so these are micro stretches. They're like taking two pieces of fabric. And if you do that, whatever clothing you have, put your thumbs in between and slacken the fabric so you don't feel the fabric in between your hands. And then start to pull the right one away from the left. And as soon as you feel movement, that's about as much movement as we're going to do in these stretches. Okay, so release that. So we're going to take our hands and just stack them on our sternum. So the sternum, we're not pulling the breastbone down. We're just letting the weight of the hands be here. And then we're going to slowly bring the right ear to the right a little bit. Now take a breath in. And exhale on out. Then slowly bring that to the left. Just micro movements. And breathe in. And breathe out. Okay. Bring that back up. Release the hands for a moment and just side bend. Notice if you feel a change. Notice if you're taking a movement through your whole body as opposed to isolating the side bend just in the neck. And then rotate. So my neck feels a little less gunky on the back left side. Okay. We'll do a second variation today. We'll add more to these later. Bringing both hands again on the chest. We're going to turn to the right, and the ear that's facing the camera, lift it up like a balloon is floating it to the sky. Take a breath in and breathe on out. Slowly bring the head back up, derotate. Let's take it to the opposite side. The ear that's facing the camera, imagine a balloon with a string tied to it. Floating the ear up to the sky. Take a big inhale in. And exhale on out. And bring the head back up, derotate, then release the palms. And now let's side bend again. This is our post test. Do you feel a change? And rotate to both sides. So I feel less tension here on the side of my neck is what I'm noticing in my body. So just note what you feel. I changed my mind. We're going to do the third variation. We have enough time. So hands on the chest. Again, it's just a gentle anchor. You're not pulling down. We're going to turn the head to the right. And we're going to lift. Now we have a balloon on the ear away from the camera. We're going to lift that up. Take a breath in. Exhale on out. Slowly come back up and derotate to a center. And let's do opposite side. Turn to the left. Tie a balloon to the ear behind, away from the camera. We're going to float that up. Just a little micro movement. Breathe in. And exhale on out. Bring the head back up to neutral. Find a center. Release the hands. And then let's test it. Side bend. And rotate. It's kind of interesting. I actually feel more lightness over the right ear here. I never know what these ones are going to do. So let's pick up the knees and bring them out in front of you. Give them a nice little wiggle. Shake it out. We're going to do one modified seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Bring your hands next to your hips for support. Elbows are pointing kind of straight behind you if you can. Dorsiflex through the feet. You can't see my feet in the camera, but they are dorsiflexed. And then we're just going to explore hinging forward through the hips without collapsing the chest. So stay lifted in the front. And keep playing with melting without rounding through the chest. So we're meeting our first barrier of resistance in our tissue. Allow yourself to just be here and allow the tissue to melt through the breath. Nice deep full body breaths. Relaxed jaw. Tuck your chin. Allow your head to fall forward. And now play with point and flexing of the feet a little bit. It's creating a little foot pump. And inhale, come back up. Okay. Wiggle it out a little bit, shake it out. Okay. We're going to transition. It's going to be the only pose in this plane today is child's pose. If you're tight in your quadriceps or in the back of the knees, you can slip a blanket behind your knees, is one example. You can also use props like a bolster for support. You don't have to have your butt come down onto the heels, is basically what I'm trying to say. It's okay if it's up. And we're just going to lower down. You can stack two fists. You can use a block, and you can also use a bolster if you have a bolster available, and take it up higher, and a blanket. So this will be our Shavasana, our resting posture today. And you can find something that feels comfortable in your body. You can turn your head if you're using props. Supported Balasasana is one of my favorite postures because I can take the blanket on my sternum, support the heart. Let go of controlling your breath. Scan your body here. Notice any micro changes of movement, fluidity, openness. Using these next few breaths just to allow your nervous system to completely reset. And in your own time, slowly coming up to a comfortable seat so we can all gather together, and we'll close the practice with a namaste. Bringing the hands up towards the third eye and bowing forward to close the practice. Namaste.